Now, the training is organized into 20-minute lessons, which are lectures with slides where I talk about the different aspects of the job, bring in case studies and examples from the real world. And each 20-minute lesson is followed by a 5 to 10-minute learning interaction, which are chances for the student to concentrate on specific questions, think, and give answers that they think apply to the area covered. We then have those lessons and interactions organized into chapters of 2 hours each. Each chapter has a quiz and then a final exam. So it's a very dynamic, interactive environment. The lecture, as I said, is 20 minutes. The material is interesting, well organized. There are diagrams and compelling presentations. And here's a little short 2-minute demonstration so you can see a couple of clips from what it's like inside of the classrooms.
So what we want to do now is we want to continue a little bit, and again, this is our introduction to revenue assurance class. So we're going to talk about what is it like to be a revenue assurance person. So what is the job really like, and do I make a good revenue assurance person? There's a clear cycle to management's interest and investment in the revenue assurance function, and either they love us or we bore them is pretty much the two conditions, just like Casey's bored right now. Finally, we move into the IT side and mediation. So mediation is the core system utilized to handle the processing, formatting, filtering, and distribution of call detail records from the network to the different business functions. So the mediation, so when the call ends, it will be marked as done and written out, and then when that partial CDR comes here to mediation, it will be taken, and the mediation system will see, this is only the back end of the call. It will go to the suspension file and try to find the matching other part of the CDR and put them together and turn them into one CDR. Now, the process of taking multiple partial sheet CDRs and putting enforcement control, and the actual billing is still being done with a postpaid system. And the bill, once balance-based, everything's done by the prepaid billing system, and then the invoicing is done as an after effect. CDRs. And when the CDRs are produced, I mediate them, and I bill them, and then I rate again.
In addition to the lectures, we have the knowledge checks, and I think this is the most important, most compelling part. If a student doesn't have to stop and think, and if people aren't forced to process the different topics, it goes too fast and they miss the whole point. So every 20 minutes we stop and do a knowledge check. It's a double check that you're following the material. We get the student proactively involved with the material, and we have what are called learning interactions to reinforce it. So here's a little demo of a couple of the what we call knowledge checks. You can see how I prompt people with the questions, and they have to input the answers on the screen. Those things are captured by us. I can look at the answers and then get back to people if they have any problems with the material. So here's a little knowledge check clip that you can watch. So what are the different ways that telecoms deliver services to people? What are the three main service delivery architectures? Very good. So the three service delivery architectures include circuit, which involves creating a leased line between 2 points temporarily. Circuit architecture involves switches and end customer devices. And it's, of course, the traditional form of telecommunications. It's the oldest form. Packet, a much newer form, involves taking the information you want to move, whether it's video, audio, graphics, putting it into equally sized electronic packets and moving the packets from one end to the other. It's more like a mail service than a circuit. And finally, broadcast, the oldest form of telecommunications. broadcast radio, broadcast television, and of course now we have broadcast.
Time for the knowledge check for the interconnect line of business. For your interconnect overview. First exercise, match the name with the description for these top telecom interconnect frauds. So match the name with the description of the fraud. Okay. Settlement control protects us from partner overbilling. Partner selection control helps us keep from a collusion situation. Trunk group controls keep us from fraudulent routing and overbilling. And rating controls keep us from fraudulent rating by the partner or by an internal party.
Of course, that was sped up quite a bit so that you could just get the point. Okay, there are also quizzes after every chapter. Now, the quizzes, students can take them as many times as they want. They get to see which answers are wrong and right, and quizzes are there to help people to reinforce their understanding of the material. At the end of the class, we have a test. The test has most of the same questions that were in the quiz, but they don't get to take the questions over again, and they don't get to get an immediate answer of right or wrong. So the test is where we really make sure that the student has captured the material. Finishing the material, watching all of the slides, all of the presentations and quizzes and interactions, and passing the test is how you get certified. Again, that was sped up. Now, we have interspersed what we call e-videos, educational videos, in with the material. So e-videos are key videos from YouTube, from commercial sources. They help provide the student with a better grasp of the material. They give a 360-degree view of the problem that we're discussing. So it gives the students better context and gives them some points of reference. So here's an example, a couple of slices from a couple of the e-videos from some of the classes.
Hey, I'm Lex Friedman with Tech Hive. We're here in Bedminster, New Jersey at AT&T's GNOC. It's Global Network Operations Center. This is where they monitor all the traffic on their network, voice, data, cellular, everything. We're gonna go inside and see exactly how they do it. Hey Chuck, thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard, Lex. Good to have you here.
So what is the GNOC for? What do you do here?
We monitor and surveil all of AT&T's global networks.
Hi. What you see behind me is a base station, of which we have over 3,000, and we're upgrading at least 1,500 of those this year. Let me show you what comprises a typical base station. So, most importantly, we have a cabin.
Well, that's a nice little sample for you to see of what it's like in the classroom. We worked really hard to make this a pleasant, moving experience so that people can get to what they want to know. You can skip the sections that you're already familiar with. So, a continuation of our self-pacing, on-demand training
put into the environment.